Hi everyone, Joe March here, and as many of you know, I used to have a channel on YouTube called Sorcerer, later called The Grand Infinity. It ran from 2015 to 2018, and then I took it down. Later, I created this channel, which is now currently called Sorcerer Archive, but I keep changing the name, so when you're watching this, who knows what the hell it's called. But this channel was not originally going to be an archive channel, but later, recently, since everybody wanted to see those old videos, I decided to go ahead and archive them here. So now you can watch all those old videos from the old Occult channel I used to have if you go to the playlist section. You can see it here. We got playlists. And you can see right here, Sorcerer Lectures. These are the old ones. There's the old Get to Know a Deity. There's other stuff in here too. So my channel has certain videos, which are current videos, mostly silly videos and stuff that I make, and just catch up with me videos. And then it has all the old archive stuff in playlists. They're not in videos, they're not in home, they're unlisted because I don't want them in the algorithm of YouTube. I just want them here for those people who wanted to see the old videos. So if you see anything today that I'm watching and you want to see more of that, go to the playlist, go to Sorcerer Lectures or any of these other fine things down here. Watch some of my old videos. They're not all on the channel. They're unlisted, but you can find them through the playlist. I think I explained this well enough. Anyway, today what I was thinking of doing is going and watching some of my old Sorcerer Lectures and reacting to them to see what I think of them now. As we know, my thoughts have changed a lot, and also my style has changed a lot. And I think it'd be funny, especially to watch the very first one. So we're going to start with the very first video I ever made back in 2015 in March, which is the first intro video to the original Sorcerer channel. I'm going to react to that now. So let's go! I remember this jam. You know, a bunch of people got pissed at me over this. This jam. It's a fucking hot jam. I don't care what anybody says. I made this out of loops and stuff. I was like, this kicks ass. And I play it, but then when I come up on the screen, I'm just like, hello, I am Joseph March, and here is some occult theory stuff. And people were like, how come you have this banging start, and then you switch to this other personality of just like plain milquetoast motherfucker? But the thing is, they don't understand that this is actually my personality. This music is more like me than any of these videos are. And anyone who watches my new channel would recognize this. This is more me. But back then, I was like, I'm gonna formally present the occult like a professional or some bullshit. Like, I don't know. Whatever. Well, you'll see. You'll see. Hello, Internet. I'm Joseph March, aka the Sorcerer. Ooh. Why am I called the Sorcerer, you might ask? Well, it's because I'm of questionable sanity and I practice magic. Alright. Cringe warning if people didn't figure this out. My first video is gonna be cringy as fuck. I'm already a cringe lord, but this is going to be cringy. So if you are allergic to cringe, tune out now. And what I mean by magic is not illusion or card tricks or sleight of hand. Not the type of stuff you see with David Copperfield, David Blaine, or your Uncle David who keeps pulling those quarters out from behind your ears. I really thought this shit was funny back in the day. Like, I thought this was humorous. Oh, look, now I look like the drunk uncle. Well, maybe I look more like the drunk uncle now. Whatever. I don't know. I thought like putting all these quippy little things in was funny back in the day. I stopped doing that after a couple of videos in. This video is going to be full of it though. This video too, I was like, I'm going to try to do artwork and all kinds of crazy shit. And I had this idea for this video when I made it. And I was like, it's going to be 10 minutes long. You can see it's 11, so I didn't even succeed at that. And that it's going to have artwork and it's going to explain things and it's going to be funny and it's going to be all this and that and the other thing. And you'll see how it turned out. But also this video took me like 3 fucking days to make. So after this, I stopped doing it. This is the only video that is like this. I'm talking about magic. The science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will. I mean, that quote brought to that's one definition of it. You by the infamous Aleister Crowley. What's up with me and the like, ooh, here he comes, the evil Aleister. I don't know. This is just so early practitioner. Like, I had been practicing for a while, but this is like early ass practice. Also, back in these days, there weren't as many people on YouTube talking about the occult. So this was kind of novelty. It was like, hey, I figured people that were on YouTube that were going to follow me were going to be normie motherfuckers who didn't know anything about it. And I was trying to come as someone who looks like a normie myself and express like how it's not dangerous. That was kind of my whole vibe back then. But it turned out that the community already existed there. I just didn't know about it. Like, the magic community was bigger than I thought. And so most of the people who followed me were already practicing. So this video is completely useless to those people. Oh, God.
Aside, though, I'm 34 years old. I've studied the occult for 16 years.
I'm sorry to keep pausing it. 34? I mean, I know. 2015? Shit. Yeah, I'm 41 now. This is already making me feel older.
And I practiced magic for 5. I wanted a place to start being
5
able
years.
to share my experiences.
You know, I'm at the point now where I actually don't remember how long that I practiced this stuff, because I also stopped practicing, started practicing all this other shit. So I'm glad that past me put a fucking number to it, so at least I can know back in 2015 I had been practicing it for 5 years. Practicing, though, I mean, what does that mean? What, like, if someone says, I've been a practicing magician for X amount of time, how much of that time are you seriously, like, one of those guys who practices every day, does a bunch of shit? And how much of that time are you dabbling? And how much of that time are you counting, like, being armchair? And how much of that time have you finally gotten over the part where you have to practice every day and moved on to realizing that that's fucking stupid too and started living your life? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of elements to it. There's a lot of different phases if you get involved in the occult. And 5 years tells me absolutely dick shit.
To start getting rid of some of the misinformation out there on YouTube and through various religions and tell people what magic really is and what it isn't. I do it in kind of a comedic way, I hope. Hopefully you guys like it too. I want to keep it fresh, keep it short, keep it simple. I just kind of want to make a portal where you can go to see what the real deal is with magic, as opposed
see, this is when I was full of all this shit. This is what I mean now when I say, like, don't think of me as a teacher anymore. Because that's what I was like then. To me, this is cringe as hell. I'm being really mean to past me. I understand that other people will probably like this video. A lot of people really loved this video when it came out. It kind of started the channel. And the channel ended up with 20,000 subscribers. So, like, it was super popular. But to me, this take here, more so than later in the channel, but this take here is cringy as shit. This is a person who really believes he's got all the fucking answers that he's going to dole out to the masses who know nothing about magic. Like, this is clueless me before I knew the magic community as well as I know now. This is clueless me before I went through the ups and downs of all the fucking transformation that happens with shadow work and everything else like that. Before I've changed my views on how all of this shit works. The me from here believes this works a whole different way than the me from now thinks. It's just like crazy to go back and watch this.
To all this other hubbub. I plan to quote all my sources. I plan to do my due diligence.
I did do that, actually. I quoted them for a long time.
The rest of you out there will correct me. I look forward to your comments.
See, that was my mistake. No, actually, that was a good thing. I got a lot of correction from people over the years in different videos, and that's actually helped me learn more about, I don't want to say about the occult, but about, like, what was fundamentally existing before, what people already knew, what different terminology really was, how people out there were practicing, how big it was, like all of this stuff that I wouldn't have known if I hadn't been on YouTube and had people coming to correct me. So I actually really appreciate that people used to come back and correct me. Although at the time, especially at the beginning, I really took it hard because, again, I had all this ego you can see here. But it definitely helped in the long run. It helped grow me as an individual. So really, I feel like at this point too, what I remember is I was practicing Golden Dawn stuff. I was practicing evocation. I was practicing chaos magic. And that's kind of like all I knew. So when I start getting into other stuff like pantheism, paganism, animism, stuff like that, like I hadn't touched that at all at this point. So people started coming at me with these concepts that I didn't even know. And here I am in this first video, like, I'm going to tell you guys what's fucking what. So, I don't know. It's funny to me. Like, I can appreciate where I was at back then, but to me, this is really funny.
And so that's enough getting to know about me. Let's get into some content.
So, what is magic?
Look at that book.
Magic is the art of influencing events and producing marvels using hidden natural forces. As such, it is, more or less, the use of any yet unexplained force to produce a desired effect.
I mean, that means nothing.
Energy healing, hermeticism, evocation, invocation, astral travel, divination, alchemy, channeling, and more.
So, yes, like all of these things are examples of what I made the channel about. But are they all examples of magic? I guess, maybe. To me, with my new views on things, these are all examples of methodologies used to get in contact with your subconscious mind. So if I want to, and I'm going to get hate for saying this, but if I want to do an evocation or invocation, I'm accessing some part of my deep subconscious, and as a result, getting answers that I don't know. You can argue about whether or not that's spirits communicate with you through the subconscious, or whether it's you're just talking to an inner part of yourself that's not usually up at the surface. I don't want to get into all that shit because that's just going to piss people off on either side of this argument. But the point is that, like, these two things are just diving into your subconscious. Astral travel, in my opinion, people are going to be pissed about this too, but astral travel, in my opinion, is the same thing as journeying. These are just ways to dive into your own subconscious worlds in order to learn more about yourself. Sometimes you can have miraculous shit happen, which is why magic, and we can't quite explain everything with science, but I still believe that mostly you're diving in your own subconscious. Divination, again, letting your subconscious give you messages that you're not usually paying attention to. Alchemy, spiritual alchemy, is really like transformation of the self through things like shadow work, through putting yourself through trials, all that type of stuff, making yourself a better person, self-help. Channeling, again, that's just evocation and invocation. I just am like, yeah, I'm going to put that there too. Hermeticism is one version of how to do a lot of this stuff, but there's a million other types of paths and whatnot. So I don't know why that's called out here. Energy healing, I don't want to get canceled.
In the future, if we scientifically prove any of the myriad of techniques involved in magic, that technique will no longer be magic. It'll just be. What makes something magic?
I mean, I just explained to you. It's all of this is just connecting to your subconscious mind. Whether or not, once you've connected to your subconscious mind, you can cause change in the world beyond the self, that's debatable. That's the part where it's really interesting to me to say, is magic something that you can do beyond changing the self? Or is it just a methodology for interacting with the subconscious that allows you to change the self? But that's where we can get into all kinds of other things. Like if people want to say, hey, spirits are real. If people want to say, I did this thing that caused something else to happen, or I had a miracle happen because I used these practices, all of that is in the realm of possibility to me. But it's still, you go into the subconscious using these practices, and then it happens from there. I don't understand what happens exactly. I mean, I mostly see it as sort of the psychological model where you are influencing your own thoughts and you're learning about yourself and you're using this to process and become a better person. But there's definitely weird shit that happens. I've had it happen to me that is outside of the self that you can't explain. So there's some element there that we don't explain yet. I'm always wary of people who act like they know for sure what is causing that. But, insert your own religious belief, spiritual belief, whatever there that you've been using. So don't come at me about this like subconscious thing. Be like, it's not subconscious, everything's real. I didn't say it wasn't real. I just said that's your pathway to whatever it is. Also, I didn't say it was real for all you other people. I'm just saying all these methods, in my experience, are just different ways to get in contact with the subconscious mind. And then from there, shit happens.
Is that we don't fully understand it. So then,
we don't.
What does it mean to practice magic? Simply, it means to perform techniques derived from occult literature.
Okay.
Or from one's own experience.
Uh-huh.
In an attempt to cause change to occur in reality through supernatural means. The difference between an occultist and someone who practices magic is that an occultist studies these sort of phenomena, while a practitioner attempts to cause them. An occultist is someone who studies the occult. The occult, sometimes referred to as the mysteries, is made up of ancient texts, religions, or practices that were hidden in their time, or are considered supernatural today. The word occult derives from the Latin occultus, meaning hidden, concealed, secret, and originally was used to describe anything not shared with the general.
This is still a better explanation than what I just said a minute ago. Hidden, concealed, secret is occult. That's really all you need for something to be occult. So in my opinion, shadow work is the occult, like, dialed up to 11. It's all of the hidden stuff about yourself that you've blocked out from past traumas and stuff and working through them. To me, that is more occult than any grimoire you're ever going to get. Like hidden, concealed, secret, things that you learn from diving into places that you normally wouldn't be. To me, that's what I think of as the occult now.
General public. The meaning changed to mean not apprehended by the mind, beyond the range of understanding, in the 1540s, and the association with the supernatural sciences of magic, alchemy, astrology, etc. dates from the 1630s. Magician is the default word for one who practices magic. In modern terminology, it is often associated with stage magic rather than the magic we just described. This is why the word
I talk
magic
a lot
is
slower
sometimes
back then.
spelled with
I have lost a lot of
change
patience as I've gotten
in
older.
Conformity with will, as opposed to sleight of hand and illusion.
Magic can be spelled magic, I
It's
guess.
common to refer to someone who practices magic as a white magician, black magician, or baneful magician.
Instead
of just
I
calling
thought
them a
this
magician.
back then, but I've never actually heard anyone call someone else a baneful magician. Like, I'm making this distinction here, and I remember thinking this through. I'm making this distinction because what I was trying to explain was that a black magician was not evil. So I'm going to go into, I'm sure, white magicians and how you can use magic that doesn't affect anyone outside of the self, other than protection, which, you can get into questions whether that's black magic or white magic. And how black magic, from a certain point of view, is just any magic that affects the outside world, affects others, whatever. So sort of like white magic is more likely to be like, there's a path, the spirits or ancestors or whatever show me what I need to do, and I do that. Whereas black magic is like, I'm going to fucking take the reins and all this shit. But neither of those are good or bad. They're just altruistic versus individualistic, sort of. It's left hand, right hand. It's all that kind of shit. Now, I don't know that these are really what white magic and black magic means anymore. I think that this was my take back then. But in order to try to explain, again, I thought I was talking to normies, in order to try to explain to them that black magic wasn't bad, I had to make a boogeyman, which is called baneful magic. So you'll see. I remember the creation. This took so long to make.
This helps tell.
So I remember a lot of this. It's all coming back to me.
Sleight of hand illusionists or practitioners of the magic arts.
Yeah.
White magician.
Oh, here we go.
White magicians use magic to further their understanding of the cosmos and gain enlightenment, but refuse to use magic to change reality. They believe in a divine creator and see performing magic to make change as blasphemous.
That's what a lot of people call right-hand path.
Black magicians use magic in the same way as white magicians, but do not believe it is blasphemous to use magic to change reality. As such, they perform rituals to change themselves and the world around them freely, giving them access to more possibilities with magic than white magicians. Many do not believe...
You gotta remember too, at this time I was calling myself a black magician, so I'm a little biased in this particular thing. I don't call myself that anymore. But that's... keep that in mind when you hear that definition.
Believe in a divine creator. And those that do often feel the creator gave them the ability to do magic, and therefore it's their right to use it. Black magicians are often mistaken for evil, because society is hardwired to think of opposites when they hear the terms black and white. People rush to the belief
and
that
society is
white magicians
racist
are good and black magicians are bad. This is not the case. There are good and bad magicians of both types. Baneful magician.
I mean, that just makes me want to be a baneful magician when I see that.
Baneful magicians are magicians who use baneful magic. In other words, magicians that negatively affect others. Most magicians, both white and black, avoid baneful magic on purpose. For this reason, those magicians who use baneful magic are often given their own classification. To avoid being classified purely by the type of magic one uses, some modern magicians have
So, since learning more about the magic community, I am hard-pressed to find a lot of people who don't use baneful magic. So, just keep that in mind.
willingly taken on the old names of various types of magicians. I am one such magician.
Although I don't believe that baneful magic works as well as a lot of magicians think. Curses and whatnot. I think there's a lot of fear and fear-mongering in the community, and I think as a result, people tend to overprotect themselves with wards and whatever else, and tend to over-curse and think that they've made a big difference, or, I don't know. And to me, if somebody is going to cast a curse on someone to, say, kill them, but is unwilling to go and stab a person with a knife, that person doesn't actually believe their magic is real. That's how I take that. Because if you truly believe that your baneful magic can cause that level of harm, then you would also believe that you're murdering people. You are a murderer if you're killing. Not that all curses are kills, but So if you don't take that level of seriousness with a curse, then you subconsciously do not believe your magic works. That's my hot take.
Choosing to call myself a sorcerer. Sorcerer translates from medieval Latin as one who influences fate or fortune. So according to that standard, a sorcerer is someone who attempts to use magic to alter reality. In modern terminology, we often refer to a sorcerer or sorceress as a black magician. Wizard translates from Middle English as wise man or wise one. It was originally used to denote a philosopher or sage before later becoming synonymous with someone who performs magic. This is because the lines between magic and philosophy were more blurred in the days of old. Today, this can represent both white magicians and black magicians, but in either case, it tends to represent a magician who believes themselves to be morally good, while a sorcerer is often morally neutral. Warlock originally translated to mean oath-breaker, but was later changed to mean one in league with the devil in the 1300s. This is why some satanic magicians tend to call themselves warlocks today. It did not come to mean the male equivalent of a witch until it was changed again in the 1560s.
And it doesn't today mean the male equivalent of a witch, but it did back then. And that's really from the perspective of the people who were chasing after the witches, not from the witches' point of view themselves.
Warlocks often involve themselves in baneful magic, leading to the tendency for others to view them as evil. Witch originally derived from the word wicca, which meant a female magician.
Okay, I got a lot of shit for this, by the way. This is a behind-the-scenes moment. So, many of you probably know Savannah of the Black Witch Coven, whose channel is much more popular than my own. She actually replied to this video when it was on its original channel to bitch me out about my use of the term witch here. And this is another example of what I was talking about earlier, where constructive criticism, where you call me out on something that's incorrect, as opposed to the type of criticism that I got a lot in 2015, which is like, why is a bald guy on YouTube? I don't know why me being bald was such a big deal, but back then, YouTube didn't filter shit. So every negative comment was just there. But anyway, the constructive criticism, like, hey, this is not how we use the word witch anymore. You know, you need to educate yourself, and like, here's some sources and things like that. I remember that Savannah specifically was like, that's not how we use that word anymore. Like I see that you're trying to teach us out here to do magic, but you need to educate yourself. So I just thought that's a funny anecdote.
Was a word often used to describe priestesses and druids of pagan origins. In modern day, Wicca is the new term to represent the practices of Wiccans, modern-day magicians whose magic relates strongly to nature. Some go so far as to call themselves modern witches. The term did not represent a specific type of magician in the old days, white, black, or otherwise. It just specified gender and interest in magic.
It doesn't specify gender at all. That's another thing that's funny. Like, this is in 2015. I didn't know what gender fucking was. I thought gender meant sex. So no, it does not represent gender. It doesn't even represent sex. It's just a word that has to do with which. Now, that said, you can see the quote. Like, everything here is the sources are cited, so you can see that this is pulled from Online Etymology Dictionary. So this is actually the definition of witch that you'll find in a dictionary. But did we really come to learn Google search dictionary definitions here? Or are we looking for a practitioner to talk about their experiences? So, I don't know. To me, this video was a big misfire, but I guess if you're trying to introduce the channel, it was decent.
Not take on negative connotation until the Catholic Church started branding all pagans as heretics in league with the devil. Most modern-day witches have no affiliation with Satanism or demonology. Shaman, a word once used to describe magicians of certain tribal peoples, is a term often used in modern society for someone involved in mysticism. Mysticism is defined as the attempt by an individual to achieve a personal union with God or with some other divine being or principle, often through frequent meditation. Mystics are often practicers of white magic, choosing not to cast spells to change reality, only to
So that's wrong. Everything that I said up until the mystics are people who practice white magic, everything up until that was correct. I don't think I knew as much. So conceptually, what I had thought of as a shaman back then was the more light and love, hippy-dippy type of shamanism that is more prevalent now. Not the ancient pagan shamans or the peoples who have practiced shamanism for thousands of years. True motherfucking shamans will curse your ass. Like, they are not light and love white practitioner people. So, you know, like, bad, shame, past Joe, shame. Do your research, as they say. Although, now they say that to mean, like, go out and learn what I want you to learn. So I guess do your research has a different meaning now. So instead, like, literally actually go out and do some real research into what people that call themselves shamans are like before you make this video maybe next time. Although I'll never make this video again, so that's... Damn it, every time I say never, I end up doing stuff. I know you're going to see another fucking video where I define these fucking things. It'll be like, oh, which is a lady caster? Like, oh my god. It's so LARPy.
Experience divinity in their own lives. Most occultists are people interested in uncovering history or science not yet discovered. Most magicians are people who started out as occultists, stumbled onto magic, figured out it worked, and continue to use it either
I still think that's an accurate description,
or out of a desire to make positive change in their lives. But how does most of society view magicians?
Greetings, mortals. It is I, the Sorcerer, here to teach you another witchy moment of the psychotic powers of magic. Avada Kedavra!
Lightning bolt! Lightning bolt! Lightning bolt! Lightning bolt! Lightning bolt! Lightning bolt!
Okay, this is kind of funny.
You're getting sleepy. I am defenseless. Go ahead. Take up your weapon and strike me down with all your hatred and your...
Oh yeah, you gotta have both.
Oh hell yeah, man!
So this is more...
Sounds good and all, but it needs a reverse message.
This is this is more the real me, as you guys know from this channel. All that other shit is what I thought I should be doing for YouTube. This was me just having fun, and this is how my channel is now. So, all right, hold on. I got to see this entire compilation.
Yeah, this beat sounds good and all, but it needs a reverse message saying that they need to give their souls to Lucifer. Then we'll publish it.
I'm a reptilian. Foolproof.
Fireball, bitch! That's not a bad roll. I'm keeping that. In all fairness.
I mean, the dice always fucking fall on the floor, right? Am I the only one that has that happen? And also, that mask is right there. Right here. That same mask, that reptilian mask is right there. So that's still a staple. That stayed. You know, and that's what's funny. Out of this video, the part I like the most is the part where I'm goofing off. So, I don't know. I still feel like maybe I'm being a little harsh on my old self here, but there's just so much that, and it's not as apparent from the video, but like I remember me back then. There's so much I just didn't know back then.
A lot of people involved in magic are a little crazy. I mean, I even call myself the Sorcerer. But that tendency to over-dramatize the magic that you experience and what you think magic is, and to add this self-aggrandizing nature to your videos, causes people that watch them to think, oh.
This is projection. Okay, let me hear that one more time. I'm sorry.
Dramatize the magic
hold
that
on,
you experience.
hold on.
Involved in magic are a little crazy. I mean, I even call myself the Sorcerer.
Uh-huh.
But that tendency to over-dramatize the magic that you experience and what you think magic is, and to add this self-aggrandizing nature to your videos, causes people that watch them to think, oh, magic is full of shit. Because
you mean like telling everybody that you're here to teach them what magic is definitively, as if no one else fucking knows? Bro. Oh my god. Now, so okay, so there's going to be people that are like, why are you ripping yourself apart? This is all fine, whatever. I did a ton of growing, especially while I made this channel, and gained a lot of self-gnosis, self-understanding, realization about deep-seated issues I had to work through, and one of them was this like ridiculous ass level of ego And so, like, it's just right fucking there. Okay. I'm probably seeing it more than you guys are. But if you're seeing what I'm seeing, then you see why I'm like, okay, let me just, like, blush a little bit and cringe to death over here.
Because they're smelling your bullshit. Now,
I'm smelling somebody's.
Share the actual facts of what happened, your actual feelings around your experience, and also where you got your sources. I feel like all of a sudden you've created a discussion.
So I started this thing where I was like, I'm going to share my... This is all because back then we had basically like Frater Xavier and EA co-editing, and that was kind of all. And I was like, nobody is... Like, on the one hand, you've got a guy who's selling every fucking thing. Although now, if you look at Frater Xavier, it's the same shit. He just sits there and sells his fucking programs all day. That's his whole channel. But I'm digressing. Anyway, you had EA co-editing who just like sells everything, and then you had Frater who didn't show his face ever. And I was like, we need a face of a regular ass guy. This is where the whole idea for my channel, like, I'm a regular ass guy. Like, let me put my face up there so you can see a person talking to you about these things, and let me quote my goddamn sources so people can go get more information. They know where the fuck this is coming from, instead of just being like, here's my thoughts on the thing in the wavelength. But as good an idea as that sounds, I only kept that up for like 8 months, I think. And at some point in here, I was like, fuck the source tracking bullshit because it takes so long. And also I got to the point where I had covered all the material with sources I wanted to, and the whole channel turned into just like my personal experiences. And honestly, that's when the channel took the fuck off, because nobody needs all these goddamn lessons. Anybody interested in this stuff can go research it themselves. It's more interesting to hear the weird experiences of someone who's practiced this shit. Even if you haven't practiced it, it's more interesting to hear the weird ass experiences of someone who's practiced shit. And that's when I switched to talking about my experiences, that's when the channel fucking shot up and took off. But this is from back when I'm trying to be a teacher. I'm trying to give everybody the rules and of the road and also the shit. And also, this is the stuff that to me got me in trouble later, because if I just had been talking about my experiences all along, I wouldn't have so many people that had looked at me as a teacher and tried to follow the bullshit that I had explained to them to do, and piecemeal tried it and got into trouble. So, I don't know. If you go back and watch these videos, take them with a grain of salt is all I'm saying.
And an interest where people can start to try out different elements of the occult if they're interested, or just learn what the occult really is. I'm here mostly to fight against that. I also plan to stand up against some of the dogmas of some religions and pop culture references to magic, but mostly it's actually to stand up to my own fellow magicians. So, let's see where we go with this. Hopefully...
Hold on. Who am I standing up against? I'm standing up against my fellow magicians? Who was I even talking about? Was this like a beef I made up in my head with EA co-editing? I don't know. I don't even know who I'm talking about there. I think it's probably because I used to go on magic forums and I'd hear these like teenagers talk about throwing psychic darts at people to kill them or whatever. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? So I think that's what I thought. And I think a lot of people who don't go online and get access to the wider community, you know, via something like a YouTube channel, think that there's all these cringy, like, 16-year-old douchebags that are giving magic a bad name, when that's not the situation.
We create a discussion on both ends. If I ever say something that you know is incorrect, or that comes across as overly dogmatic or overly opinionated, please comment in the section below.
You guys
please
did.
Let me know. Please keep me straight, because I really do want this to be an open discussion, and I want...
Well, you guys failed at keeping me straight, but we all know that story.
I want to teach people about what the occult is, what magic is, what it's not, and also why it shouldn't be feared. Anyway, that concludes my time for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please click like. Please share it on Facebook. If you didn't, please click
share it
like
on
and hit
Facebook.
Subscribe so you can...
Is that what 2015 was like? Did we share shit on Facebook all the time? Is that... Fuck, man. This is back when people were like making fun of SJWs and shit. This is back in the past.
Follow what I'm up to and keep that shifty sorcerer in your sights.
You follow what I'm up to,
really
young
want to hear
lad.
from me again, please click subscribe, because I'm going to be making more videos like this, and I look forward to input on Facebook or Twitter or here. Just let me know. If you have...
Spoiler alert. He never made a video like that again. Like, he made other videos, but they weren't like this one. Something you want to hear me talk about, put it in the comments. If you agreed with me or disagreed with me, put it in the comments. If you think I need to burn in hell for my evil ways, put that in the comments.
I did get a lot of those comments.
Haven't heard that enough.
Yeah.
Good night. So, if you go back and rewatch these, you don't need to put shit in the comments, okay? There's no comments. Comments are turned off because this was 2015. These are in this playlist just for the sake of people who want to see the old stuff. People who are like, I'm a fan of the old stuff. I wanted to watch it all, blah, blah, blah. That's why it's there. Okay, to me, that's embarrassing. I don't know about you guys. You guys are probably like, you're being too hard on yourself, whatever. That's great. That's awesome. That's the old channel. So let's see. What's another one? So I could go to the next one, but it's literally a Psycho Sorcerer introduction. I don't want to watch another introduction after that introduction. You got here. We got rituals and breathing. We got the planes. We got the mind's eye. Psycho Sorcerer chakras. Some of this stuff though is good, I think. Like, I feel like I just go over what was in the different books I read. Psycho Sorcerer spell casting. Psycho Sorcerer evocation. Evocation. Do I have the fortitude to watch one of these? Psycho Sorcerer authenticity. Oh my god. I did a fucking list. I'm only picking the cringiest ones, guys. Down. I still think this beat is fire. Also, if you guys are confused as to why I'm looking this way instead of looking at the camera, I have a new setup. I have a camera in the corner. I have a screen here. I have a screen here. I have a mic on an actual mic stand. So we have gotten an upgrade. I am set up. I could technically stream now and share stuff. I have OBS over here on this screen to see what I'm recording. I have the video you guys are watching here. I got the camera here and the mic here. So as a result, we got the setup now if we want to like watch videos together like this. It took me a while to get this set up, but I actually got all the pieces for this right after I went on break from the channel back in June, I think. June, I think, is when I went on break from the channel. And I got all the stuff and I set it up, and by the end of June I had it all set up. So I was like, man, now I got this cool ass rig and I'm not making videos. So, you know, this is how things go for the Psycho Sorcerer. 10 occult words often misunderstood in casual conversations. Let's go.
Hi everyone, Psycho Sorcerer here, and today I'd like to talk about 10 occult words that are often misinterpreted whenever they're talked about in conversation.
Okay.
Mostly because we don't define our words before we talk to one another, so I felt that getting the common definitions out here would probably help with future conversations on my channel, as well as when you watch
Okay, first of all, nobody goes back and watches a video in order. That's what I thought back then. It's like someone will find my channel, they go to the very beginning, and they watch everything in order. Some people do this. I did this back when I first found Frederick Xavier, for example, and his channel. And to me, Frederick Xavier's early videos are still some of the best magic content that's out there. I have my own criticisms about how his channel has changed over time, but his early videos are the shit if you're actually looking for information about what occultism is about, especially on a beginner level. But I digress.
Because for the most part, people involved in occult use these definitions the same way, whereas people in pop culture and the New Age use them slightly differently. So here are 10 occult words that are often misunderstood in casual conversation.
Teach me,
Number
Sensei.
1, magic. Ask most occultists, and they'll tell you that magic is the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will. That quote was coined by Aleister Crowley, but is generally accepted amongst those involved in the occult. Pop culture would have you believe that magic is some kind of energy or a force or something of that nature, and that's not exactly the case. Though there are magical practices that involve working with forces outside of our understanding, Those practices are a type of magic. They are not magic itself. Magic is literally a technique.
So I'm already doing better at this point. You can tell I've already learned a lot more than that first video, and this is video number 20. And I put out a video a week. So this is 5? Is it 5 months later? Or 4 months later? 5 months later, I think. So 5 months later, with interacting with the community through my YouTube channel, I've already got a better hold on what this shit really is about.
Or set of techniques that are used to cause a change in a person's reality using their own will. Nothing more, nothing less. Hypnotism was originally considered a form of magic until it became mainstream some time ago. Usually, once something that's considered magic becomes mainstream, it's no longer considered magic, and thus most people when talking about magic talk about techniques that can cause change that aren't already accepted by modern science. It's important to note, though, when we say magic, we're not talking about some kind of force or energy. We're talking about
some people are.
Techniques used to change reality. Which brings us to number 2, reality. By reality, I mean your life as you perceive it, either through personal internal change or a change to your external world. Examples of internal changes could be learning to overcome a fear or to accept love. Examples of external changes could be gaining wealth or obtaining a new position. The point being...
Yeah, so I see what's going on here. This video, once again, like all my early videos had an agenda. So this video's agenda is to answer all these crazy assholes who were coming at me back in the day and saying, you said I can change reality with magic, but I can't grow fucking wings. And it's like, it's not what we mean. Like, when we're talking about this stuff, we say change your reality. We mean like change your destiny or change your fate or any of that very flowery words. It's just self-help. Like, that's really what we're talking about. It's changing yourself in a way that anyone can, but by using these practices to help you along the way. And I think I could have said that in like 10 seconds instead of making a 10 words that people keep asking me about that keep pissing me off in the comments video, which is really what this video should have been titled.
A person's reality is their life, not necessarily the lives of others. That brings
number 3, the all.
The all is the collection of all realities, all minds, all people, places, and things. Deep
enlightenment. Hold on.
Enlightenment is a state of feeling fully awake, a state of deep understanding, a state of feeling enlightened, illuminated by the light of divine knowledge. Basically, this is a state of being self-aware.
That is correct. It's a state of being self-aware. I'm going to stop it at that, because whatever I say after that is going to ruin it. That should have been the end. The end. State of being self-aware.
Display like a play that is rehearsed and performed, or a repeated behavior.
Wait a minute. I think I got ritual right back then. Hold on.
Either an elaborate display like a play that is rehearsed and performed, or a repeated behavior.
End. Don't say anything more. That's it. Correct. Move on to number 6.
To another. Often used when talking about alchemy or chemistry, but also used in modern science to discuss the 4 phases of matter: solid, liquid, gas, or plasma. Or earth, water, air, fire. I have
so much knowledge that I just wanted to share.
Used in alchemy to discuss transmuting lead into gold, which was actually a metaphor for enlightenment. It stood for taking the base self and transforming him or her through self-awareness to become a greater being. For aid in this work, most alchemists look toward number 7, the Philosopher's Stone, a geometric shape that represents reality and ascension. Often confused for a device or mixture that can turn lead into gold or bring immortality, though metaphorically that is what it represents. The innermost circle represents the material world, the square, the astral world of the imagination, the triangle, the world of causality, and the outermost circle, the world of the mind or the all.
Yeah, I feel like by this point in the channel, I had a better foundation on what all of this meant. Like, I'm watching this one and I'm agreeing with most of what's being said. Part of why I'm skipping around in it is just because I'm like, yep, yep, correct. So that's a good sign. I guess I learned a lot between video 1 and video 20.
Imagination is real, it affects your subconscious, and thus traveling to imagine worlds and concentrating on visualization techniques can change a person in drastic ways.
Stop there. If I stop there, that's a perfect explanation of how that works. We'll move on. Planar travel. This one might be cringe.
Travel, often called astral travel or soul travel. The ability to travel to the astral plane or other planes during dreams or meditation. In scientific circles, this is usually called lucid dreaming.
Stop it there. Perfect. I was about to be like, really? I mean, it's not actually travel. And then past me was on top of it. I feel like I was on the ball back here. What the hell? I might not have given myself enough credit for this. And I'm sure this is one of those videos that piss people off because they're like, what? I really travel places and shit.
Our final word, number 10, the veil.
The veil.
The obscuring of the subconscious world from the conscious world.
Perfect.
The astral from the physical.
You know what? I'm happy with this video. Whatever. I'm sure this one was another one that I got a lot of hate for, but I'm watching it now and I'm like, this is some fucking truth bombs in this one. This is the one that makes people fucking uncomfortable. They're like, wait, you're demystifying shit and I don't like it. I like it. And people are going to take this wrong now that I'm saying that too. They're going to be like, well, you just said months ago that a fucking giant-ass serpent was talking to you and all this other shit. Like, yes, I did say that, but it's still in my subconscious. People can't separate out the idea that something that you experience when diving into your subconscious is still real and valid. People want to be like, that means it's not real. Well, it doesn't mean it's not real. It's not of the physical world, but nothing spiritual should be physical, or it would be called physical instead of spiritual. The point of it is, it's not of this physical world. And you can come at it from a view of all being in the mind. You can come at it in the world of being like another layer of reality, like a spiritual reality or whatever, and you'll still get to the same conclusions that you need to get to about the self, as long as you don't let yourself get delusional and think that you're some kind of prophet or messiah, or that you're here to like make some giant change in the world. As long as you understand these are lessons for you, then it really doesn't matter whether you believe that there's outside forces or that it's coming from within or whatever. All the paths seem to lead to the same exact thing. I'm not going to specify what that exact thing is, because if you haven't gone down any of these paths, or you haven't just simply figured it out for yourself, then I'm not teaching people shit anymore. I get in trouble for that shit.
Though we are conscious, we are often unaware of what our subconscious is doing.
Right.
In the days of old, there was no word for the subconscious mind or imagination.
And this is me before I went through what I call the alchemical wedding, where you merge the conscious and subconscious together, which merge is kind of like a funny word. To me, I think a lot of times when you hear occultists talk about spirits and merging with those spirits, it's the same thing that I mean when I say you merge the conscious and subconscious together. You're finding a piece of your subconscious self that you didn't realize was you, that you're seeing those behaviors in your real life. You're seeing this affect you even though you're unaware you're doing it. And then you bring it in and you allow yourself to consciously become aware of who you really are. You bring in emotion, feeling, all this stuff that normally we repress. And as a result, you start living your life in a magical way, in a way where you trust your own intuitions, where you trust your feelings and you feel them and whatever. Now, again, the risk of this is that you go too far and you get some wild thought that some bullshit is a way something is, and you're like, well, I'm supposed to trust my feelings, so I'll just trust that without researching it. That's not what I mean. Like, don't suddenly be like, oh, you know what? I had a thought that there was a spider that lived in my stomach, so I must really have that because I had a vision of that. It's like, no, that's not how this shit works. You can't just make shit up and then decide it's real. That's not the point. I mean, people do that all the time, and not just in magic, but all the fucking time people do that. They just like go, this makes the most sense to me, therefore that's it. And you're like, dude, no matter what evidence I provide you, you can't get out of it. So I don't even think it's a magic community thing. It's just a human thing. But when I talk about accepting that part of yourself, the subconscious, it does come with the responsibility of being aware that a lot of this shit is metaphor and it's there for you. It's not, you're not supposed to take everything literally. So if something you're sensing seems like it's going to guide you to do something you don't want to do, question that shit. Don't just be like, oh, well, but I should all go all the way. This is polarity. You have the left and the right polarities. People keep wanting to, Frater Xavier is guilty of this too. They want to associate these things with political sides. Political shit is not polarity. They're polarized, but it's not the polarity that magic is talking about. Polarity that magic is talking about is the emotional side of the self and the logical side of the self. The conscious and the subconscious, the part of you that has control and the part of you that's out of control and all that type of shit. It's about bringing those together. If you allow the part of you that's unconscious to control you too much, that's a problem. So you shouldn't just trust absolutely everything you feel and do nothing to filter it. But if you don't trust any of that and you do only logical, that's a problem. That will cause other problems. So both of those lead to disaster. The only path forward is to merge the two together, to blend them, to wed them, to work with your logical, intelligent mind and your emotional feeling mind and have them work in unison. And that's what the work is about, is bringing yourself into that path. And me from back here did not realize that's what the work was about yet. I was still all about, like, maybe I'll cast a spell and I'll get a new car or some shit. That's not what this shit is really about if you go deep into it. Some people never get out of that phase. I moved way beyond that shit. And even now, I'm hesitant to tell people that what I practice now is anywhere in line with what people think of as magic, because most people don't think of magic as a path to getting to know yourself by merging the conscious and subconscious and learning lessons and facing your shadows and facing your demons and that type of stuff. But that's what I do now. That's pretty much the entirety of my path now. I don't try to ask for outside shit. I don't do fucking healing or anything. Like, I'm all about self-understanding, self-transformation, that stuff now. But I think that that's the gold in the paths of magic all along. And I don't think you even need magic to do it. Some people can do it through self-help, or some people could do it through other belief systems. That's fine. Some people can just do it. They don't even need help. But, you know, if you're damaged like I was in the past, you need a methodology to learn how to do this because you weren't taught necessarily how to do this from the start. So this can be one. And that's basically how it works. So that's why I always say, like, oh, I don't practice magic the way I did back then, but I still am glad I did, because it brought me to the realizations about how the world works and how you need to have a combination of responsibility and emotion and all these other things. I have a bunch of stuff about this on the channel. You can see it if you want. Point being that I did not know that yet when I made this video, but I'm already on the verge. You can tell from some of the stuff I'm talking about here that I'm on the verge of that journey when I made this video. So that's kind of cool. That's neat to see. What else we got? We gotta find something crazy. Sex magic. I don't feel like. I don't have the fortitude to watch my sex magic video. Fuck it. Let's watch it. Video 31. Sorcerer Sex Magic. That sounds like the name of an album. I would buy that album. Sorcerer Sex Magic. It sounds like Red Hot Chili Peppers album.
Here, and today I'd like to talk to you about something that's rather taboo. Sex magic. Now, sex magic is just another way to do spell casting. As we've talked about before, spell casting is a series of steps, starting with first coming up with a desired goal, second, envisioning that goal as if it's complete and the emotions you would feel from that, third, performing a ritual, fourth, allowing yourself to forget about the ritual, therefore letting go of the desire, and then fifth, allowing that desire to manifest within your life.
Again, all of this is just getting in touch with your subconscious mind. I did not understand that back then. I'm about to explain, and I probably won't even watch this because it's going to be a boring lecture like you can see here. But what I'm about to explain in this video is that you're going to have an orgasm, and that's going to be the moment where you would let go and whatever. But honestly, that letting go that you do in any of these rituals is connection to the subconscious and allowing it to speak through you instead of consciously filtering everything. It's a way of connecting. Sex is a way of connecting with your subconscious. So, I mean, that's the video. It could have been 10 seconds long if I had known that back then. And the idea of like coming up with a desire and concentrating on it whenever you go into that union of the conscious and subconscious is really a method of trying to implant a suggestion in the subconscious, like a change you want to see happen. That's the only difference between that. So like the key moment is just the moment of connecting. And now in my practices, I mostly don't come up with things to change ahead of time. I just connect and see what I'm feeling and have a communication, basically like a conversation pretty much between the conscious and subconscious, and see like what's making me tick, whatever. And it's almost like throughout the day then I can work on that myself. So all I really need to do is meditate, get to that point where you let go, see what's going on, and then think through that stuff as I go about my normal routine. And that's magic to me now. There's nothing else to magic anymore. But I don't know that I would have known how to do any of that without, again, a framework. Like, come up with a thing, do this thing, whatever. Like, I don't know. You just have to talk to your subconscious. And I say talk because to me it's like a conversation. It's almost like there's two people in there. But it isn't like that either. It's like you're splitting yourself out to be able to have a conversation with yourself. Or at least for me. I know a lot of people have different ways of doing it. But again, sex is a methodology. It doesn't last very long, but it potently pushes you out of the conscious mind. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see what else I had to say.
The only thing different with sex magic is what you do in the ritual step. For sex magic, the ritual step is going to be sex.
Or I guess you have sex with a partner. A lot of people just wank it.
Or you're going to have sex with a partner. Now, either way, the main focus of sex magic is the orgasm. Whenever you have your orgasm, what you want to do is concentrate on whatever that original goal was and the emotional state that you originally created.
This is like the worst teacher's lecture. Like, could you imagine you show up for sex education and it's this guy, which is me, but like me without the beard, which to me is I don't know. And instead of being like, hey, kids, be careful. You don't want to get an STD. You should wear a condom and this. I start talking about like onking your chakra and shit.
And then by allowing your orgasm to happen while you're fully focusing on that,
this is like every teenager's nightmare.
On the subconscious mind, that which you want, and also release energy in the form of the orgasm's completion.
Hell yeah, you are.
A lot of people use a visualization while performing the orgasm to see energy that had welled up within them exploding and releasing. This is fine too if it helps you to have a more magical feel to the experience. Ultimately, all that sex magic is using an orgasm as the catalyst to imprint upon the subconscious mind. And
oh shit, I did have it right. Well, fuck. I don't know. I should just stop interrupting my old self.
The most common way to perform sex magic is sigil magic. If you look at the previous video I posted explaining sigils and how to create them, as opposed to performing the step where you would focus on the sigil and see energy go into it until you feel it charged and then release it out, you would masturbate or have sex with a partner while focusing on the sigil and what it represents, and make sure that during orgasm you concentrate completely on the sigil to...
Again, all of this is about implanting something in the subconscious. It's not the same as having a conversation with the subconscious, and that's what the difference between, say, magic, as it's traditionally thought, or at least chaos magic, and the alchemical wedding are. So that's the difference between magic and alchemy, is that the alchemical wedding is about having the merger between that conscious and subconscious mind become more permanent, so that throughout your day, you can just experience your emotions, experience your feelings, know what's going on. You'll get sudden inspirations, all this sort of stuff. You just are operating better if you can get into that mode. And then if that starts to slip away, you do a meditation, you drop mind, you get into that state where you can feel the subconscious again, you pull it back. So it's kind of a getting into a relationship with the other part of yourself that has been hidden. Now, you have to do shadow work and things before this will work. You have to be able to face that inner shadow before you can get this to work. But again, that could be done through psychological means or whatever. You don't have to do any magic for this to work. Magic is when you try to impress upon the subconscious mind something the conscious mind wants from it. And that can be beneficial, like helping you to change a bad habit. But it can also be damaging because the conscious mind, at least before you go through the alchemical wedding, or if you're someone who's way over logical, can want to wrestle control from the subconscious instead of blending with it. And that can lead you down a path that could make you psychotic in the end. And that's what I learned over time as I went the right way, but other people who followed some of these same lessons that I put out did not. And there were people that used to watch my channel that did end up in psychiatric facilities and the like. All of that is part of what played into me eventually taking this channel down. It's why I put big warning up now if anyone wants to watch these old things. This shit can fuck your brain up. And it's really what can fuck your brain up is this. The implanting of that thought that you're consciously decided you want to have in your subconscious without necessarily consulting the subconscious about it. You're like, hey, you know what, subconscious? Fuck you. I want this outcome, and you force it. That's when you get into trouble. Don't do that. Have a conversation with your subconscious. Get to know yourself. If it's uncomfortable, that means it's working.
Allow that to manifest within your mind and then head out. It's really just the same technique we've talked about, but using an orgasm. What I've found is that
this is like the most boring sex talk I've ever had.
More potent than the other forms of magic, but it is easier for a beginner.
How the fuck? I'm gonna find the camera so I can talk to you. How the actual literal fuck was this channel more popular than my channel now? Come on, guys. This is the most dry ass lecture on sex I've seen in my fucking life. 20,000 subs I had with this shit. Now I'm talking to you like a regular ass person. What do I have, 400? I don't know. Well, I'm not really out there as much anymore. Nobody needs to hear a bearded guy talk about bullshit. So maybe it just comes down to the content.
If you're somebody who doesn't have a lot of the visualization down, isn't confident in your visualization skills, perhaps using...
Also, I'm not sure I actually want more subs. So before people go like, oh, well, let me go share all your shit. Like, I don't know. I actually kind of like a small community. I'm not even posting that often. Actually, I'm just bitching about how dry this fucking content is and how I guess it was what was needed at the time. I feel like if I put this shit out now on YouTube, it would just disappear in the cracks because there's so many occult practitioners out there now and they have better content than this. And and listen, even though I don't practice the way I used to, I still watch a shit ton of those practitioners and I like a lot of what they say because I find this shit interesting. One of the channels I found that I like a lot is Magicology. A lot of what he believes still is more in line with how I used to see things. But dude, there's a lot of good in what he's talking about too. And I can pick out the things that I agree with and disagree with. It doesn't make me mad to disagree with someone on a couple things. I don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Most of what he's saying is really insightful. So, if you're looking for a channel like what I used to do, but I think better, and it instead of taking 20 minutes per video, it was like 5 to 10 minutes. Check out Magicology. You'll like it. And if you don't like magic and you prefer me just ripping apart my old videos, well, then just keep watching this and go watch some of my other videos because I talk a bunch of shit about myself. And not in a negative way. Like, I don't think you should be super self-deprecating. I'm just self-critical when it comes to looking at my old shit. And it doesn't hurt my feelings for me to be critical of my old self. It hurt my feelings more back then when other people were critical of me because I didn't even realize I had problems. But looking back, I'm just seeing so much of what I worked through over the past 7 years in these videos. So to me, I'm like, okay, yeah. And there's so much background that you don't see when you watch these videos that I can see about what was going on back then. These bring back memories of mine of how I viewed things back then. And I'm just like, holy shit, have I grown. I mean, here too, I guess. Well, maybe not. I'm actually pretty heavy in this video, but I lose a ton of weight at one point and then gain it all back because, whatever. I should have learned all along, just grow a beard. Nobody gives a shit once you hide that second chin.
Sex magic will help you. Also, for people who are younger, who have a lot more sex or who have a stronger libido desire for sex.
Yeah, because when I was younger, I had all the sex. Look at me. I did not.
Sometimes it's a good use of your sexual frustration. If you plan on masturbating anyway, or if you're going to be engaged in a lot of sexual activity, and you...
Do we really plan on masturbating? Like, do we plan it out? Or does it just happen sporadically? Some people do it on camera, apparently. And that's a thing that happened in the news.
You also have desires or goals. You can combine these two events into one as a form of magical practice. Now, there's a lot of debate as to whether what Aleister Crowley said is true, which is that doing certain more depraved or more unaccepted by the...
So, what I was talking about there is a misquoted, misunderstood thing about Aleister Crowley, where people thought that he used sex magic with a lot of different types of partners, some younger than they should be. But the quotes that were taken there out of context are actually talking about masturbation. I learned this later. That what he's referring to in his book that I did not understand in this video is masturbating, I believe, onto a wafer, like a Christian communion wafer, and then eating it. I believe that's what was actually being described, but it was described in such a fancy way that a lot of people thought that he was talking about molestation of some sort. So I have been schooled since this.
Populous forms of sex help to increase your magical potential. What I understand of this is that it does not. What actually increases the potential of your magic through sex magic is the power of your orgasm. Everyone who's...
The power of your orgasm, baby! That's going to be my next song. I'm going to make a fucking beat. Maybe I'll make a beat and put it at the end of this video. The power of your orgasm.
Had sex knows that some orgasms are different than others.
Some are different,
powerful
some are the same.
Can theoretically give a greater effect to the subconscious and to the energy being released.
Feel your subconscious
someone like Aleister
up and down its body.
Very strange things. You may
the
need
power
to do
of
a lot of very strange
orgasm.
things to have a potent orgasm. Whereas if you're not, you don't. So it really isn't about how you do it or how you have sex or anything of that nature. It's just about the orgasm itself. Now, most people believe that this is because the orgasm is a creative process. Orgasms for men are a release of sperm, which is used for the creation process. Mm-hmm. Orgasms for women are used to allow the egg to become fertile, which is a creation process. Both of them are creation. And since you
I mean, not all sex is done that way.
Are sacrificing that creative energy to your goal, you are therefore creating and manifesting. I don't know if there's any truth to this. I tend to believe it's more a relation to the state your subconscious mind enters during an orgasm, the joy it feels, the chemicals released in your brain, and the way that allows you to imprint.
It's the letting go. I know this now. It's about the letting go.
In your own mind. But regardless of which way you believe it works, it does actually work, and I can vouch for it personally.
Oh, sexy time.
About sex magic, it's pretty straightforward. People don't tend to talk about it only because it's taboo, as all things sexual are. If you have questions about sex magic, please reach out to me on Facebook.
Man, I was really uncomfortable talking about sex in this video, you can tell. Whereas now I'm just like talking about wanking it and spanking it. Like I gives two shits anymore. I don't know. It's probably because before this channel got renamed to Psycho Sorcerer Archive, it was just called Joseph March. And it was a channel where I just post whatever the fuck I want. And it still is a channel where I post whatever the fuck I want. But now it's also whenever the fuck I want. So, you know, it might be months before you get another video, or it might be tomorrow. Who fucking knows? Anyway, now I just say whatever the fuck. I'm like, I got a small community. I'm not trying to grow. I'm just talking my fucking truth. Man, what am I, like a 16-year-old girl? What? Fuck it. I say what I want, motherfuckers. And that's where I'm at now. And so we have talked about the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees here a few times. And I'm definitely more comfortable talking about wanking and spanking than I was back then.
Reach out to me in the comments below, but I'm not 100% sure about what YouTube will censor and what they won't.
Who gives a shit what they censor?
In the description section.
I really thought this dry ass thing was going to get censored by YouTube. This just shows you, like, I ain't no shit back in the day. Alright. It's time for a jam. That might work. Okay, we'll start with this. We'll see how it goes from here. It's like... The power of your orgasm. Yeah, there you go. Let's do it. You spank it, you wank it, we spank it, you spank it, who spanked it, I spanked it, we spanked it, you spanked it. You spank it, you wank it, we spank it, you spank it, who spanked it, I spanked it, we spanked it, you spanked it. You spank it, you wank it, we spank it, you spank it, who spanked it, I spanked it, we spanked it, you spanked it. You spank it, you spanked it, you spank it, you wank it, we spank it, you spank it, who spanked it, I spanked it, we spanked it, you spanked it. You spank it, you wank it, we spank it, you spank it, who spanked it, I spanked it, we spanked it. You spanked it. You spank it, you wank it, we spank it, you spank it, who spanked it, I spanked it. You spank it, you wank it, we spank it, you spank it, who spanked it, I spanked it.
The power of your orgasm.
You spank it, you wank it, we spank it, you spank it, who spanked it, I spanked it.
The power of your orgasm. I need echo on this bitch. Oh, I'm recording that.
I spanked it.
The power of your orgasm. Alright, first we gotta line this shit up. No, don't record over it. God damn it. Control Z is your friend. Okay.
I spanked it.
The power of your orgasm. Where do we want that? That's gotta be here, right? Let's see this.
I spanked
it. The power of your orgasm. It's too fast. Gotta go a little further.
I spanked it.
The power of your orgasm. No, it's gotta be a little more like here.
You spank it. Who spanked it? I spanked it.
The power of your orgasm. That's it. That's better. That's better. That's gold right there. That's the cream. That's the cream right there. Okay. First we need this echo over here for this one.
Who spanked it? I spanked
it.
The
power of your orgasm. It needs a little more power. The power needs a little more power. Let's reverberate. This is going to be way too much. Holy shit. It's like a cacophony of orgasms. All right, let's try again.
Power of your orgasm.
That's still too much. Hold on. Let's do 98. We do 98 on a lot of our songs here.
I spanked
the
it.
Power of your orgasm. That's
it.
That's it. That's good.
We spank it.
Now this one.
Who spanked
this one.
I spanked it.
The power of your orgasm. Because it has that quiet. It needs to be like motherfucking big empty hall, crazy ass echo. Let's do 92. Let's see how this works.
I spanked it.
The power of your orgasm. I mean, it's not. Well, you know what? We need delay too. Hold on.
I spanked it.
The power of your orgasm. That's too much. It's too much. Try again.
I spanked it.
The power of your orgasm. I mean, that's close. That's close. Let's bring this down a little and have more about the echo here. Let's do some higher decay. Okay.
I spanked it.
The power of your orgasm. Yeah, that's it. With the echo, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, save it. Although I could just like bust into another beat at that point and just be like a completely ridiculous ass song. Like right there. Just be like, bam, something else. Yes. Like completely unexpected. Power of your orgasm. We need drums and shit too. This needs to become like a whole thing. Yeah, baby. Oh my god, it has a little doodle-doo. Fuck that. Yeah, that's it. And then we gotta actually sing. This has gotta become like a fucking actual song. That's what's gonna happen. This just happened.
Who spanked it?
Do we have a bass drop too? Can we get a bass loop that works with this? It's too much. These are too active. No, I need it from another place. How about dark melodic? Yeah. Yeah, that's it. There we go. Yeah, so yeah, right.
You spank it. Power of your orgasm.
And then we need to make this like a real ass fucking song. That's what has to happen.
Power of your orgasm.
You can't stop the flow. Got to let it go. The power of your orgasm. You can't stop the flow coming down your clothes. Shit. Like, what the fuck?
Oh, you can't stop the flow. Got to let it go. The power of your orgasm. Now it's on your nose, orgasm. Ha! Now it's on your nose, orgasm. You can't stop the flow coming down your clothes. Now it's on your nose, orgasm. Ha! We also need like a little like or something. And it can't be too sexy because that is not the point. I mean, I could probably find... No, that is not the kind of I want. I mean, what happens if I put that in there? That would be like... I mean, that's not what I was looking for, but the inappropriateness of it might be perfect. Let's see. As all you can't stop the flow, got to let it go. The power of your orgasm. You can't stop the flow coming down your clothes. Now it's on your nose, orgasm. Ha! Grab yourself some ass, then you make a gasp. Go for it real fast, orgasm time. This is the way you know magic is the way that you let it go. Grab yourself some ass, then you make a gasp. Go for it real fast, orgasm time. This is the way you know. Grab yourself some ass, then you make a gasp. Go for it real fast, orgasm time. This is the way you know. Magic is the way that you let it go. This is where it's got to get like unexcusably erotic, and by that I mean not at all. These are not. These are celestial. There's got to be. Was there like? Hold on. Stop doing that crazy noise. Generic vocals.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Taken out of context. Let you let it go. It just seems inappropriate. Is there like a like we have a male like? Let me just put this there. Holy shit. Make this like loud as fuck. Fuck. I mean, I don't know what to do after that. I mean, that's kind of the punchline. And we just repeat it. No, it's perfect. Do it twice. It'll be like on purpose. No, don't go down there, you dumbass. You can't stop the flow, got to let it go. The power of your orgasm. You can't stop the flow coming down your clothes. Now it's on your nose, orgasm. You can't stop the flow. can't stop the flow. Got to let it go. The power of your orgasm. You can't stop the flow coming down your clothes. Now it's on your nose. Orgasm. Ha! Nose orgasm. Ha! That's it. That's the end. Oh, what monstrosity have I created? You spank it, you wank it, we spank it, you spank it, who spanked it, I spanked it. The power of your orgasm. You spank it, you wank it, we spank it, you spank it, who spanked it, I spanked it. The power of your orgasm. You can't stop the flow, got to let it go. The power of your orgasm. You can't stop the flow coming down your clothes. Now it's on your nose. Orgasm. Ha! Grab yourself some ass, then you make a gasp. Go for it real fast. Orgasm time. This is the way you know magic is the way that you let it go. Stop the flow, got to let it go. The power of your orgasm. You can't stop the flow coming down your clothes. Now it's on your nose. Orgasm. Ha!